Hello, and welcome to this presentation on the foundational database for the California harbor seal population status. This database is my capstone research project. My name is Anna Hood, and I am pursuing a master's in environmental GIS from Unity College. Monitoring groups are concerned that the California harbor seal population has been experiencing distribution shifts. This research project hypothesizes that harbor seal populations have shifted northward due to anthropogenically induced climate change symptoms. My project has developed a foundational model of trends to aid in monitoring and managing the harbor seal population. The public communication piece that I chose to use is a website. It's just here. This website has 4 pages, one being home, the second one being maps and data, third one being partners, and the fourth one containing my report. The home page contains my name as the author, as well as information on my professional partner. There are also links to the various pages. The first one that we can visit here is the maps. So this page contains the map series and data files I have available. The map series featured here are the ground survey summaries from 2012 to 2019, and they can be scrolled through like so, showing all of the results of the analysis I performed for each year. Further down, I have various interactive maps showing the summarized data that I produced through the analysis I performed. If someone were to click on an individual point, you can find information for the total amount of seals counted for various seasons from 2012 to 2019. There's also an opportunity for someone to contribute to the data via this link. This link brings up a form for harbor seal data entry in which someone can contribute to the database. This form of audience engagement requires an email for submission, and each submission has a number of fields that are required to be entered, as you can see here. I also have provided various data files for my partners. These are the links to each of those. Each of those files is protected with specific permissions to protect various breeding locations and other areas that are sensitive for harbor seals. The other pages that I have included, like I said, partners, there are links here to each partner so that if an audience member is interested in learning more about my partners, they have access to that. These are all the ones that are listed here. There's also an opportunity for an audience member to contact one of the above groups and see how they can be involved in harbor seal data. Lastly, I have a page on my project report. I have a link here to download or view the entire PDF version. I have also included each section of my report, such as my abstract, my introduction, my methods, and then various figures such as my analysis workflow on Esri or GIS Pro. I also have the written results section here that is coordinated with the map series I showed earlier. There's more details on the various latitude bends and nuances there. I also have included a number of graphs that are mentioned in the results section. And finally, I have my interpretation, my discussion, and conclusion. I want to go back to the map series I had shown earlier. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the interpretation of my analysis. Some of the trends I identified through my analysis between the years 2012 and 2019 are that the latitude band with the highest of seal counts remained the same. The latitude bin with the second highest percentage of seal counts from 2012 to 2019 actually shifted from bin 16, shown here, to bin 39, shown here. This map series provides a great visualization tool. A viewer can switch between years, 2012, 2019, and identify that the population is more evenly distributed across the latitudinal bins, but the majority of harbor seals still occupy the central coast region, specifically these bins here. It is important to note that this study did not assume to eliminate all potential reporting bias, and it's actually mentioned in the results section. Here I have a visual of the maximum survey effort performed by harbor seal observer groups. Observer bias is introduced by the number and distribution of groups performing harbor seal surveys. Monitoring groups only perform molting season, breeding season, and pup count surveys in a portion of the study area. Gaps in survey efforts are obvious. In this image, they are the gray-tinted bins. The absence of surveys in these bins biased the analysis results. Fortunately, monitoring groups reported a consistent number of observations from 2012 to 2019. And the figures here represent those numbers. Observer groups reported an average of 152.9 data collection surveys a year. They perform breeding season surveys in an average of 39.9% of the latitude bins, molting season surveys in an average of 40.1% of the latitude bins, and pup season surveys in an average of 28.3% of the latitude bins. The consistency of this data reporting strengthens the temporal analysis and reduces temporal bias. A more representative population calculation could be achieved with the same analysis methods and more evenly distributed observation surveys. More expansive survey samples from each latitude bin would also provide more in-depth analysis of population trends. This study has succeeded in developing a foundational database for continued monitoring and examination of the California harbor seal population. According to this paper's foundational analysis, the California harbor seal does not appear to have significantly shifted in its distribution in the 7 years investigated. Numerous comparative metrics support this finding, but regardless of the compelling nature of these results, more data is needed to make a convincing claim. Data that incorporates the entirety of the California coast with a similar or even longer time span can provide a comprehensive analysis. Continued monitoring is essential to maintain an accurate understanding of the California harbor seal population status. In turn, further research can be performed on the identified trends to investigate the influence of climate change and shifting prey distributions. This project was introduced by Dr. Jeff Moore of NOAA's California Current Assessment Program, also known as CMAP. CMAP researches species that inhabit the U.S. West Coast waters, specifically publishing stock assessment reports for the Pacific marine mammals. CMAP also provides scientific advice to regional and national policymakers within NOAA, according to the Marine Mammal Protection Act and the Endangered Species Act. Current research projects include annual marine mammal population surveys, estimating population parameters, and population risk assessments. For the purpose of this research project, a professional partnership between NOAA, National Park Service, Point Blue Conservation, California DOT, California Academy of Sciences, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Bodega Marine Lab, and volunteer groups such as the Pacific Harbor Seals of Pacific Grove, the Seal Society of San Diego, and Stewards of the Coast and Redwoods, Fort Ross Conservancy, Sea Ranch Docent Program, and the Sea Ranch Coastal Stewardship Task Force produced an informal working group that provided the data and insights that made this project possible. To them, I say thank you very much, and thank you as well for listening to this presentation.